This is Dave. Dave is on vacation in the Sahara. What could go wrong? Meet the Deathstalker. Drop for drop, the most expensive liquid on Earth. One sting can kill a child in 12 hours, and the same molecule is saving lives in cancer surgery. Today, we find out how. The Deathstalker lives across North Africa and the Middle East. Pale yellow, only 3 inches long, lighter than a coin. It hides under rocks during the day. It hunts at night, and it does not run. Dave thinks it's cute. Dave is wrong. That stinger snaps over its head at 50 inches per second. And the tip isn't just chitin. It's reinforced with zinc, iron, and manganese. A hypodermic needle made of metal-laced armor. The scorpion can choose how much venom to inject. Sometimes it's a dry sting. Sometimes it's a warning dose. Sometimes it's everything it has. Dave reaches in to take a selfie. The scorpion votes for everything it has. Total venom delivered, 0.22 milligrams. That's less than a single grain of sugar. It's already enough. Second one, Dave feels nothing. Second two, still nothing. Second three, oh. The pain hits like a bare wire to the bone. Entomologists rank this pain at the top of the scale. Level 4, same league as a tarantula hawk wasp. Some survivors describe it as being electrocuted from the inside. Here's why the pain is this bad. It's not the wound, it's the lie. Inside every pain nerve, tiny sodium gates flick open, then snap shut. That's how a normal signal works. The venom carries a peptide called LQH3. It jams those gates open. The nerve can't shut up. It fires, and fires, and fires. Dave's brain reads this as one continuous scream of pain, because to the brain, that's exactly what it is. Dave's hand goes red. Then it goes numb in patches. Then it burns. The local damage is just the opening act. The venom hasn't even reached the bloodstream yet. When it does, everything changes. Inside Dave's bloodstream, the venom unpacks itself. This isn't one toxin. It's at least 100 different peptides, all working at the same time. Each one is a tiny key. Each key fits a specific lock on the surface of a nerve cell. There are alpha toxins. They jam the sodium gates open, just like LQH3. There are beta toxins. They rewire the lock itself, so the gate flies open at nothing. There's cherubdotoxin. It plugs the potassium drains the nerve uses to calm down. And there's chlorotoxin. Remember that name. We'll come back to it. Every one of these peptides is folded into a tiny armored knot held together by chemical staples. That's why the venom doesn't break down in the heat. That's why it survives the desert sun. That's why it survives Dave. For a mouse, the lethal dose is around 1/10 of a milligram per kilogram. That makes Deathstalker venom roughly as toxic as an Egyptian cobra. Per gram, even worse. Now imagine 100 different cobras, each one biting a different part of Dave's nervous system at the same time. That's not a sting. That's a coordinated takeover, and Dave's body is about to do something very stupid. 20 minutes in, Dave's autopilot kicks in. There's a part of the nervous system Dave doesn't control. It handles his heart, his lungs, his sweat, his pupils. Normally, these two systems take turns. One pushes the gas, the other taps the brake. The venom slams both pedals to the floor. Doctors call it an autonomic storm. Dave's mouth floods with saliva. His eyes water, his pupils dilate. His muscles start twitching on their own. His fingers won't sit still. At the same time, his body dumps an absurd amount of adrenaline, 25 times the normal level. Then norepinephrine spikes too, 28 times normal. For Dave's body, this is the chemical equivalent of being in 25 life-or-death fights at the same time. His heart rate explodes. His blood pressure climbs into territory hospitals call extreme, and the storm isn't even at peak yet. Hour 1. The pain isn't what's going to kill Dave. Most people picture death by venom as paralysis. A scorpion sting doesn't work that way. All that adrenaline has to go somewhere. It goes straight to the heart. A heart isn't built to swim in pure adrenaline. When it does, the muscle starts to stun. Doctors have a name for this: acute adrenergic myocarditis, a poisoned heart muscle. The blood markers don't lie. Troponin elevated in 76% of severe pediatric cases. CKMB in 100%. The heart tries to pump harder, but every blood vessel in Dave's body is clamping shut. Imagine trying to inflate a balloon by squeezing it. That's what Dave's heart is doing right now. So the blood goes the wrong way, backward, into the lungs. Fluid leaks out of the capillaries. It fills the alveoli, the tiny air sacs Dave breathes with. Dave starts coughing up pink foam. His lungs are drowning him in his own plasma. On the ECG, the readout starts mimicking a heart attack. ST segment changes in roughly 65% of severe cases. This crisis peaks around 9 to 10 hours after the sting. The body has been at war the entire time. This is why people die from scorpion stings. Not the venom directly, the body's own panic response. Dave is 6'1" and built like a brick. He has a chance. A 4-year-old kid stung by the same scorpion? Different story. A scorpion delivers the same dose of venom regardless of who it stings. Dave weighs around 80 kilograms. A 4-year-old weighs about 15. That means the kid gets more than 5 times the dose per kilo. Same venom, different math, a smaller heart, smaller lungs, less reserved to absorb the storm. That's why pediatric mortality from severe scorpion envenomation is about 10 times the adult rate. Before modern ICUs, in some regions, 1 in 2 stung children didn't make it home. Modern hospital care has dropped that to around 7 to 14% in the worst cases. Better, not solved. Step 1 in the hospital is anti-venom. Antibodies harvested from horses. Those antibodies hunt the venom peptides still floating in the blood and lock them down before they can dock onto more nerves. It works best in the first 2 hours. After that, most of the venom has already locked onto its targets. That's why doctors don't stop at anti-venom. They reach for prazosin. Prazosin tells the blood vessels to relax. The heart stops trying to inflate a balloon. The lungs start to drain. For severe cases, a ventilator does the breathing. Roughly 40% of severe pediatric cases need one. Dave gets anti-venom. Dave gets prazosin. Dave gets to keep being Dave. 3 days later, Dave is alive. He's wondering why nature would build something this lethal. Here's the part Dave doesn't know yet. 1 floor up, in another room, a different patient is being prepped for brain surgery. They have a glioma, a brain tumor that grows into healthy tissue like roots into soil. A surgeon can see the bulk of the tumor. The roots are the problem. They look identical to normal brain. Cut too little, the cancer comes back. Cut too much, the patient loses speech, movement, memory. For decades, surgeons did this work with their eyes and their hands, trying to spot a shadow inside a shadow. Then, in 1991, 2 researchers pulled a single peptide out of Deathstalker venom, 36 amino acids, 4 chemical staples holding it folded shut. They called it neurotoxin. And then they noticed something strange. When neurotoxin met a glioma cell, it stuck to it like a magnet. When it met healthy brain tissue, it ignored it completely. Turns out the peptide locks onto specific proteins glioma cells use to invade other tissue. Healthy cells don't carry them. At a children's hospital in Seattle, Dr. Jim Olson asked the obvious question. What if you bolted a tiny light bulb onto neurotoxin, injected it into a patient, and let it find the cancer for you? They called it Tumor Paint. Under a near-infrared microscope, the cancer literally lights up. A surgeon can now see the exact edge of the tumor, down to the cellular roots. In real time, in the operating room. The compound is now in late-stage clinical trials for children with brain tumors. A pivotal phase. 2-3 trial finished enrolling in 2022. Read that again. A peptide from the world's most dangerous scorpion is helping surgeons save children with brain cancer. Dave looks down at his bandaged hand. He still hates that scorpion. But somewhere, a kid is walking home from surgery because of it. Which scenario should Dave try to survive next? Drop it in the comments.